Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Siggers, and we're joined by Tom Arnold and Derek Bittner to discuss the new Wii U Zelda game announced during the most recent Nintendo Direct. Now, they didn't say too much about it, but we won't let that stop us from speculating how the game might play based on what little they did say. And with that, let's get this thing started. So one of the big announcements coming out of the Nintendo Direct is, of course, they're making a Zelda for Wii U. And that may not be a surprising announcement, but it's a big one. And it's coming from the same director that made pretty much all the several last Zelda games, which are like Wind Waker and Skyward Sword, and this time he basically said we're trying to do what Skyward Sword couldn't. we're rethinking the conventions of the series, taking it back to its roots, and basically trying to deliver like a game that is the essence of Zelda. And as a couple examples. He mentioned that they're looking to make it so the game is less linear than previous Zeldas, and you can maybe go about exploring dungeons in any order, like the first Zelda. And then he also mentioned specifically that Zeldas have been, primarily a single-player affair, and they're looking to maybe change that. Maybe for sword style. I'm not entirely sure. But these two things alone could completely change how Zelda's going to play. Yeah, so what are your guys' thoughts on that?
It's an interesting thought. It's appreciated thought, honestly. It's because, let's be honest, Zelda does need a change up.
Yeah, it's getting a little stale.
I mean, I enjoyed Skyward Sword, but I think it's run its course as far as that kind of setup for the game.
Well, basically with Zelda games lately, I can't get through them because I'm playing it and it's like, okay, get this, It's like, well, I've gone through these motions before, and it's kind of getting stale. Yeah,
I mean, I guess the biggest problem, which you kind of mentioned, Tom, is in a modern Zelda game when you get stuck, like when you don't know what to do, that's all you can do. That's it. You're at a dead wall or dead end, and you either have to sit there and figure it out or look it up. So hopefully by making it less linear, you can go off and do other things. So if you get stuck in one dungeon, why not go find another dungeon and explore that one instead? And I think that could just be really cool. Making it a less focused adventure, and making it so you can actually bringing back the exploration to Zelda, because it no longer feels like you're exploring things. Instead, you're just going along a straight route, seeing things developers want you to see. In a
roller coaster ride.
Yeah, basically, that's how it's kind of felt. And in fact, it was basically a roller coaster ride in Spirit Tracks. You're on the train.
Well, yeah, like in Skyward Sword, I didn't really like the flying portion because it's like, ooh, and then you drop down a hole. It sort of ruins the scope and size of the world, I feel, but.
Yeah, when you only have 4 points that you can really explore.
Yeah, I was so disappointed about that. I mean, I would have loved if you could basically dived anywhere, or skydived anywhere in the world and just land, almost anywhere. And that's how they should have done it. I feel like make it so, the temples are all inside, so you can't just skydive to the end of a temple or something.
Yeah. Or have it so maybe they're guarded by, anti-aircraft type enemies.
I mean, yeah, kind of like, Beyond Good and Evil did something like that, where the game took place on in this giant world, and you could take your boat anywhere you wanted. But if you went outside, the boundaries, they would shoot you back into the boundaries, and Zelda could do something like that. I'm sure to kind of make it feel more open without making it completely open.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think about it being multiplayer? I'm kind of torn on this, because I like single-player games in that they can completely immerse you in the environment, because if you play Resident Evil 5 or 6, it's just not the same when you're playing co-op versus playing single-player. It's not as scary and not as immersive, because your partner basically serves as a constant a constant like immersion breaker because he's like because you can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about sports while playing Zelda, and that kind of takes away from the environment. But I wonder if maybe they're going to do something similar to Dark Souls or Zombie U.
Demon's Souls.
Yeah, Demon's Souls, where you have elements of other people's games coming into yours in a more passive way.
I was thinking about that. Like, basically, they could have a storyline where there's a whole bunch of different Zelda universes overlapping. You can see like shades or of the other universes in yours. That could be their excuse for people leaving notes and stuff.
Oh, that would actually be really cool. Basically, it would be like Jet Li's The One, but with Zelda.
Yeah, basically.
It would also story-wise, because you know me, I love talking story. It'd be a great way to actually combine all the different timelines into one whole again.
Whoa!
Split it into 3, bring them back in.
That's interesting. Yeah, that definitely.
I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's an interesting idea,
right?
Because with us knowing the timeline now, it's like, where are they going to put this Zelda?
Right.
Personally, with them going back to Wind Waker, part of me thinks they're going to go back to that world again and show off Wind Waker a bit more. Maybe not. Maybe if with them wanting to go a bit more open world, they'll go to that timeline.
Right.
With the original Zelda and Link to the Past, because there's been talking about either a remake of Link to the Past or a sequel, a direct sequel to Link to the Past. Nobody really knows.
Yeah, that's that's a really interesting idea. Like, I mean, well, first off, we don't even know where the timeline's going to take place, but it would be curious if where they place it, is dependent on what kind of gameplay they're going for. But yeah, as you mentioned, if they're going for more open world style, maybe they're going to stick it in that that first timeline, which typically had more open gameplay, right? Because the original Zelda was completely open, and the Link to the Past is far more open than the more recent Zeldas.
Yeah, and it has Zelda 2, which was fairly open, and even Link's Awakening, which was still guided but open for Game Boy game.
Right. No, that's definitely true. And however, if it's a multiplayer game though, they might stick it in the Four Swords category, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the Four Swords games takes place before the timeline split. The other one takes place after, and I think that was during the Twilight Princess timeline. So,
I see.
At this point, we're at any of the 3.
So we really narrowed it down here.
Oh yeah.
At last year's E3, or actually no, 2 years ago at E3, Nintendo showed off, a preview of what Zelda could look like on the Wii U, and that followed the more realistic look of Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. Now, since then, we've seen Wind Waker, the Wind Waker HD version, which is clearly sticking to the more cartoony version of Zelda. Do you guys think that's an indicator of where they're going with this? Do you think they're going to stick more to the Wind Waker Skyward Sword type of art, or they're going to go with the more mature version shown at E3 2 years ago? Or maybe, and not just what you think they're going to do, what do you want to see from them?
I prefer the more mature version, or something, I guess, closer to Skyward Sword. I think they're doing Wind Waker just because maybe the Zelda after that will be different. Just, so they mix it up for themselves.
Right, now to clarify there, Tom, because Skyward Sword had kind of like a mixture of the mature look with like the Wind Waker look. And I guess I'm not even sure where I would place that, in, as whether it's more cartoony versus mature. So do you want to see a game in the art style of Skyward Sword where it has that mixture, or something closer to Twilight Princess where it's even more mature than Skyward Sword looked?
It can be somewhere between Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. Some of the cartoony enemies are fine. I mean, they're pretty funny, but
right,
somewhere in that range.
Right. And how about you, Derek?
I'm the complete opposite of Tom. I love the Wind Waker look. Wind Waker is honestly probably close to my favorite Zelda game.
Get out of here!
You're fired.
Screw you guys. I that one just always stuck with me the most. I don't know what it is. It's just, I love that game from start to finish. I love the art style. It still holds up.
All right, well, don't talk too much about it. We'll save that for the Wind Waker discussion.
Oh yeah, I'll keep it brief as far as that goes. But it's always sort of like been unfortunate to me that ever since this great style, in my mind, for Wind Waker, they've relegated Toon Link to handhelds.
Right.
the Spirit Tracks
No.
and Phantom Hourglass and
That's not true. He was in Smash Brothers.
yeah,
Smash Brothers is canon.
yes, it is totally canon. But yeah, he's just always been on handhelds ever since, which that style works, of course, for handhelds. But it's seeing him emote so much in Wind Waker. Just I liked having that. You felt more connected to him. I got a laugh out of Link. He was, entertaining. He felt
Right.
like a person, and I've never quite gotten that out of Twilight Princess Link. A little bit out of Skyward Sword Link, but he's still kind of a milquetoast personality,
Block of wood.
Yeah, because one of the scenes that always stick out to me as far as emotion with Link is when Tetra and the other pirates stuck him in that barrel and fired him at the fortress, and he has
Right.
the countdown with his face is just like, oh shit, I really don't want to do this.
See,
And it's hilarious. I love that style.
now the part that sticks out to me is the part from the original trailer of Wind Waker, where where Link turns to the camera and freaking winks at it.
Yeah.
And granted, I don't think that was actually in the full game, but I will admit that Link has much more of a personality in Wind Waker than he has in any other game. And I hope that regardless of what art style they go for, it's something they continue to explore a little bit more. Now, would you ever want to see like Link full-on talk at all, or speak?
I honestly have no problem with Link talking. I know it's a bit sacrilege, but there's actually no reason for him to talk. They can keep him mute.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Yeah, exactly. Way to use a tired meme.
Yeah.
But I personally don't have a problem with him talking. But there's no reason to make him talk. What they need to do is have every other freaking character talk. Because there's been silent protagonists with talking characters, other NPCs that are talking and whatnot. Because that to me is what's keeping it from being epic. Because you get a silent movie,
Right.
And those can be fun. But we're at this age now where I want to hear them talk. I want to get fully involved in this story, and unfortunately, not hearing voices behind them is just killing that. And with a franchise like Zelda, Nintendo would go all out. They would get great voice actors for this thing. They're not going to just let it go and be like super cheesy at all.
Yeah.
So-
especially given
Nolan North.
Yeah.
Well, especially
And
Go ahead.
technically, we know what Link sounds like. We have a rough idea for what his voice should be just from his grunts and yells and all that.
Right.
So, what's the big deal of having him actually say a word?
yeah.
That's my opinion.
And no, I agree. We've already seen Nintendo's actually been proven pretty competent with the voice acting, given what we've seen of Fire Emblem Awakening, which actually features some really good a good voice acting cast and a pretty good script too, from what I played of the game.
Or about Kid Icarus?
Kid Icarus, yeah.
I love the voice acting in that game.
No, I agree. They nailed it. Yeah, the script was awesome and the voice acting was perfect. And they struck like the perfect tone with that game. And I feel like they could do it again with Zelda. And that probably is the one thing keeping it back from reaching even wider audience. It is kind of weird to say that, but I do think it does factor into a lot of people not taking it completely seriously as a game anymore, or as a hardcore series.
And look how much personality that gave Pit and Palutena. Like, could you say anything about either of those characters before they started talking in Uprising?
Right. No, you're completely right. That defined who the characters were. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very playful and just got you really into the game. So I would not mind seeing Link talk, but it's been so long, I can see how Nintendo would be nervous, but I think it needs to happen.
Yep, I think it's about time, and we finally got orchestrated music. It's time for full-on voice acting. Now, what do you guys, in our final part about this, how do you think they'll make use of the gamepad? Do you think they're just going to use it as a map, as in the DS Zeldas, or do you think they'll actually make use of it like they did with the Wii Remote in Skyward Sword and fully integrate it into the experience?
Oh, I guess they could create an item if they wanted.
Right.
Yeah, they could probably come up with something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned in my, about a year ago or sometime last year, we did that Wii U feature where we envisioned how these games could, or how Nintendo series could work on the Wii U gamepad. And I thought you could use a Wii U gamepad for a Link to the Past sequel, where basically the gamepad would always display an alternate universe. So like when you're in the light world, you would see that perspective from the dark world, and you can interact with the dark world through the gamepad by tapping on it.
Yeah.
And I thought that'd be really cool. You know, tie into our story idea, where if there are multiple universes that take place at the same time, you know, maybe the gamepad could factor in directly, allowing for a constant window into that universe.
It could also be used for the Dark Souls messaging system. Like, you see a message and it starts scrolling out on the screen itself.
Yeah, I mean that's a good one. Yeah.
Personally, I hope they keep the gimmicks to a minimum, because I think one of the things that a lot of people would enjoy about Zelda on Wii U is playing it solely on the gamepad, so they can keep playing whenever somebody else comes in. Because from what I can tell, that is a feature that people really enjoy.
Right.
So I think it's smart to keep the gimmicks to try to keep them to a minimum, so people could use that feature.
I'd like to see a far more useful sort of map note system. Like, it's on the DS, but you sort of get that real scroll when you try to write anything with the stylus. You do that, maybe have some features kind of like Majora's Mask, where you could maybe write notes like, oh, I gotta meet this guy at this time, or like go here at nightfall type thing. Things like that to keep track of your quests so you don't forget.
Yeah, that actually would be cool, and you actually just made me think of something. It'd be cool as if you could like maybe write letters to other characters, or not to other characters, but like to other people playing the game. You know, like leave notes or something. You know, like Dark Souls, or you could even like send items. And maybe like using a carrier pigeon, and maybe the carrier pigeon would drop it.
the owl.
The owl. There you go. It's perfect. And then the owl could like drop it off.
Make the damn thing useful.
Exactly. Right. Seriously. Finally justifying his existence after 15 years. And
who is this for?
and maybe like he could drop it off, like, you know, at like apt moments, like when the person who sent it to is having trouble, like if he just got hit by an enemy or like a really hard boss or something. Yeah. It's like, oh, I got this, you know, really cool item from from Tom or something, you know. That'd be really neat, I think.
I guess there's that mailman too, and like maybe follow him through like a dimensional rip in time and go to another world briefly.
And that could tie into the whole universe idea. This is brilliant. Why aren't we making Zelda games?
We just like blown the budget.
Yeah, pretty much. We're too brilliant.
we really are. And on that note, on the note of our brilliance, I think that wraps up for our discussion of what Zelda could be like on the Wii U. Hopefully we'll find out more at this year's E3. Maybe they'll show off something. Who knows? Hopefully they will. But make sure to stay tuned to the rest of our discussions from the recent Nintendo Direct, and especially including our Wind Waker one, where we talk more about how we think that game could work on the Wii U. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Bye.